Good morning. It's that time again, 10 a.m. on a Friday. That's when we do our community engagement chats. And I'm just going to wait for some folks to join us this morning. As I always say, we made it. I'm still quarantining and only going out for essentials. So, uh, so I'm in the house most times. So welcome, welcome, welcome. See, one person has joined us. As you just join into the chat, just, say your name, good morning, what city you're in, so we know who is with us today. So come on in. As you can see, it is sunny in Atlanta today, so I'm going to take as much as a advantage of the sun today. So we are going to wait a few more minutes for folks to join us. We have one person so far. I don't think that includes me. I'm going to wait for a few more folks to join us before we start. Good morning, Reggie. Thanks for coming this morning. I really appreciate it. And we are going to wait for a few more folks to join us before we start. I'm really excited about this morning. Of course, I always have in my mind what I want to talk about today, but current events usually rule the day in terms of what I end up discussing. But we will, talk about current events and also talk about how that relates to community engagement, because that's our main focus during these conversations. I saw another person joined us. Please just say good morning and say where you're hailing from, please. Just come on in, come on in. I'm going to wait 2 more minutes. All right. So Friday is my flex day. I don't schedule a whole lot on this day. Uh, don't schedule meetings and appointments. It's just one of my days where I can get work done and I don't feel like I'm over scheduled. Just allows me to think and actually get some things accomplished. So I look forward to Fridays. I look forward to these community engagement chats. Welcome, Kelly. Happy Friday flexing. Good morning, Darylyn. Thank you for joining me this morning. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is I'm Makara Rumley. I'm the founder and chief engagement officer at Hummingbird Firm. We're a community engagement consulting firm. So we manage face-to-face and digital connection and communication. Our focus and our specialty is cultural competency, connecting with communities of color in ways that resonate with them. And there's just a lot going on. right? And if you saw my reminders in social media and my emails, uh, you'll see that I said show the receipts. Show the receipts for what? There are a lot of statements coming out from companies, big Fortune 5 companies, smaller companies that you do business with, just as a consumer, making statements about some of the recent events, some of the protests, that they're standing with Black Lives Matter, that they're committed to diversity, and that they are committed to thinking about and addressing some of the injustices in our country. And I saw a post on LinkedIn today. I'm just going to read it out loud. That really, it had me thinking. And so I'm about to read that out loud. So this woman, Laura Silva, posted this today. To the companies, I'm not applauding your Black Lives Matter post. So that immediately caught my attention. What's she talking about? She's like, I want to see a picture of your executive leadership team and company board. I want to see your HR sanctions against microaggressions. I want to read about your diversity guidelines and promotion policies. I want to see the numbers on company hiring of Black people and people of color and your retention results. I want to see the funding for your affinity groups. I want to read about your community outreach. I want to read about your accessibility efforts and guidelines. I want to read your immigration assistance programs. I want to read your family paid leave guidelines and child care assistance. I want to read your health care plans and mental health assistance programs. I want to see your political donations. I'm not giving out participation trophies. Do the actual work and then post a picture. Hashtag show their receipts. And then she said, feel free to share. So what is this about? This is about not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And I know that can be extrapolated to probably everything in our lives, right? But we don't have time to do a therapy session about our personal lives. But with community engagement, if you say that you are actually trying to reach a particular segment of a community, then what are you specifically doing to do that? If you're just setting a meeting and setting a time and saying, oh, well, nobody showed up, well, then that's more of a participation trophy. But the receipts are, how did you specifically tailor your communication to reach a particular community? How do they receive their information? Where did you pass out information? Did you send just an email blast and 5% of the people opened it? Did you post on social media platforms where people in that community don't really focus or frequent that particular social media platform? Do a majority of people in your community, are they not online? Is there a digital divide? Are they not checking their email and post every single second like some of us are who are just attached to these phones, right? How do they receive information? Is it someone in the neighborhood? Is it at their barbershop or hairdresser? Is it flyers? Do they need to receive something in the mail? Do they need to receive a text message? What are you specifically doing to connect to folks in the community that you're trying to talk to about your project? It's not a one size fits all. Has anyone ever bought a piece of clothing that says one size fits all? No one looks good in that. Not one person is going to look good in a one size fits all because it's not customized to your size and what you need, right? And it's the same with community engagement. If you want to be results driven, which is how I read Laura's post, what are the results what are you actually doing? Like, if you're just going to make a statement, if you're just going to make this outward commitment because you think that that's what everybody else is doing, but there's no substance behind it, it's not results driven, it's really just better not to say anything at all. I mean, that's okay. Oh, great. Someone is joining us from the Philippines. I do not want to say your name wrong, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, it's about actually doing what's necessary. If there's a high percentage of your community that speaks another language, are you translating information into that language? That's a receipt. That is a receipt. Um, you just have to be specific. You have to be intentional. So if what you do doesn't reflect what you say, that's not results driven. It doesn't matter. It has no meat to it. It has no substance to it. It's an empty statement. It's a skeleton. There's no meat on the bones. So I think what a lot of people are looking for right now is not just statements, but actions and doing things that have meaning, right? That improve our relationships and our interactions, right? That respect people's cultural differences. Not just to say that you respect it, but to actually show that you respect it. So you can't just stand up in front of a group of people or online or however we're communicating now, right? And say, oh, I get it, I understand. You're saying you're understanding, but what are you doing to show that you're understanding? If you're working with a community whose communication is oral, they have an oral culture, then putting a whole lot on paper, that's not what's going to resonate with them. If you're having just even like a Zoom video call and you're putting up polls and the polls only stay up for, I don't know, 30 seconds. Here's a question, answer. Everyone doesn't read that fast. Give people time to digest and process information. Slow down. COVID-19 has created an environment where we're all slowing down. Welcome, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. Nicole's from Maryland. Slow down. We're all slowing down right now. We all have opportunities to really listen and make decisions that create results. So the post that I read you earlier, everyone does not agree that it was a good post. There were a lot of comments that were posted that were not in support of it at all. As with anything in life, right? Some people like bananas and some people don't like bananas and have very strong convictions and reasons why they don't. But what is, I think, universal is really showing. And I think that sometimes people are scared or nervous to do that. Nervous to actually do something that that shows results, because there can be risk involved with that. Everyone may not agree. Maybe you're not as comfortable with that as you say that you're comfortable. I'll give an example. So I'm Black, as you can see, and I have friends and relationships, people of all ethnicities and all racial backgrounds. So when I'm talking to someone that says, oh, I have Black friends, if they're of another race and they say, I have Black friends, I'm just like, oh, okay, great. But in my mind, I'm thinking, are those just the people that you talk to at work? Have they ever been to your house? Do you invite them to dinner parties, to birthday parties, to celebrations? Are they really friends, or are they acquaintances? Or are they your work friends? You actually have to, breaking bread with someone builds long-term relationships. And so I just think that we should be careful about the language that we use and the things that we say, because someone might ask us a follow-up question that we don't have an answer for. So it's okay. It's okay if you have an opinion, if you have a thought, but you're not quite sure how to get those results. That's okay. But say what you mean and make sure that you have actual tangible examples. Because you can't be culturally competent if you don't actually interact with people who are part of the culture that you're trying to connect with. It just doesn't work that way. We're working on a project right now in Minnesota, and I haven't been to Minnesota. We're working with a lot of tribes, and they have a particular season up there called wild rice season. It's ricing season. It's a period of time where you actually harvest, people go and harvest this crop. But I don't live there. So if I choose to do an event, if I choose to have a meeting, if I choose to have a training, if I choose to try to connect or educate or get involvement from people who are participating in a season there, a ricing season there, I'm not going to get their attention. I'm not going to be able to connect with them because I haven't taken into account that there is something going on in that community that people are focused on. I have to plan what I'm doing around that. But if I don't open myself up to learn, to understand, and to respect, then I'm not going to end up connecting with those people. You can't do things in a vacuum. You can't do things on an island. You have to actually think about your surroundings. So if you really want to connect with people, then you need to ask questions. And you have to figure out what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their communities, so that you can choose times and environments that good morning, Kyle. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So that you can pick times and environments where you will actually be able to connect with them. It sounds simple, but these are questions that people don't ask. You almost think about, this is something, I have to get something done, so I'm going to do it in a way that's convenient for me, at a time that's convenient for me, in a manner that's convenient for me. But when you're doing community engagement, you have to reverse engineer. What is the time? What is the environment? What is the communication style that is most convenient for the people that I am trying to connect with? So does anyone, what do folks think about that? I mean, put in the chat, a community that you've attempted to connect with, that you're working with now, and what are some things that you've taken into consideration to make sure that what you're doing is effective, to make sure that you're actually getting results with the people that you're talking to. Go ahead and post if you have anything going on. And it could be anything. Community engagement is not just for large environmental cleanups or condos that are being built or a new trail or parks or city master plans. That's a lot of the work that we do in our company. But it can also have to do with, if you're a part of a community service focused organization and you're trying to have a health fair, or you're trying to, educate, or you're trying to, reach folks who will come to an event that you're doing. Maybe you're DJing online on Instagram. How do you reach the people who are interested? Maybe you make shea butter and other products, and you've had to do some shifts in how you connect with the community. Maybe you usually do pop-up events at in-person festivals, and you can't do that now. You're shifting online. How do you create those environments? How do you meet the people and find the people that that you want to best connect with? What's going on in the Philippines right now in terms of projects and getting people involved and getting people engaged in some of the things that you're doing? I found an example where you don't want access to Wi-Fi and computers to actually be a deterrent for connecting with people. So sometimes you have to set up a conference call, like a good old-fashioned call, where people can ask questions. You have to send out polls via text or phone polls, because people aren't on a social media platform where they're going to interact. There are lots of digital and non-digital tools that you can use to connect with people. Okay, I think, Kelly, what does Kelly say? She said, especially regarding gathering community input, many times a survey is put up on a company or city website but not promoted. So in effect, there's no input because no one knew about it. What have you found to be most effective tactic or number of tactics? How many avenues on at a minimum should you try? Right. So sometimes when you just post a poll to a website or a survey, you're doing it in secret. Because people are not just browsing websites. You go to a website because you are looking for something specific. You're looking for something specific. And then when you find it, you leave. Nobody's clicking on every tab. Nobody's reading someone's whole bio unless you're trying to hire that person. If you want someone to create something, then maybe you're looking at visual examples. Maybe you're browsing the logos of their previous clients, right? Maybe you're looking at testimonials, but you look at a couple of things and then you leave. So if you want someone to actually do something, then you have to go to where they are. So you have to post that same poll, or survey, not on the website, but text the poll to them, post it on social media, have the poll in a phone format. Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. And you will get more engagement. And then also have platforms where those people actually get their information or interact. See if they can post the poll as well, so that it doesn't just come from you. It comes from a variety of sources. Darren said, including children and families over a meal and discuss issues. I think she's talking about intergenerational conversation about issues, talking about what you can actually do, what is tangible for getting results, for connecting with folks. Kyle says start small with a focus group of key stakeholders or gatekeepers and actively listen to what their concerns are. Sometimes Kyle is right. Sometimes it's just a listening session. Sometimes you're just trying to understand and figure out what are their priorities and what's most important to them. So it's not you talking, it's them talking and you listening, so that you can build up a relationship to share information eventually. with them. And sometimes it's just a one-on-one call. So everyone doesn't feel comfortable in large groups. And sometimes you just have to schedule a one-on-one call with someone to ask them questions directly. That's okay. You have to have multiple ways that you communicate with people. Nicole said it's always important to poll your audience. It's always, I can read. It's always important to poll your audience. You have to meet your audience where they are. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, text, and the phone. And then sometimes good old-fashioned paper. And Nicole said you need to ensure that your customer service is elevated. It could be as simple as sending a personal email or calling a customer. Yeah. Follow-up calls to a customer directly, seeing about what their needs are. Sending a postcard. People are checking their mail every day now because there's nothing else to do. So if you send them something in the mail, they're sitting down. Yes, I mean, we're thumbing through and we're recycling our junk mail, but if we see something of interest, a good example would be we have elections coming up. And so we're getting a lot of mail for candidates, because they want you to vote for them. Usually I skim, but I actually have time to read every piece of mail that comes in now and form an opinion to determine who I want to vote for. So mail works. Welcome, Naima. Naima said, yes, personal notes still work. People get excited. I get excited when I get a personal note in the mail, right? Because we communicate so much electronically through text, through email, through social media, that if somebody sends me a handwritten note, that is so special to me. It really is special to me. I pay more attention. I appreciate it. If they're asking me to do something, I consider it because they took that time. They took that time to engage on a personal level. Now, depending on how large your audience is, I get it. You can't write a personal handwritten note to everyone. And that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that you have multiple ways that you can connect with your audience. You have multiple ways so that you can get the results that you want, so that you can get the engagement that you want. That you consider your language, you consider the vocabulary that you're using. You consider what's most important to them. You considering timing. You consider what feels safe to them in terms of interacting. Do you need to make sure if you're having a one-on-one conversation, do you need to emphasize that it's confidential? Because everyone doesn't feel comfortable just sharing their true opinion about things with other people. We can't be voyeuristic today. We can't just watch what's happening with other people. If you want to take action and if you want to be results oriented, then what can you do that people can hear, see, feel, touch, taste? That's how people measure results. That's how people determine if you're actually you have action behind what is it that you're doing. I'm not going to call out any big name companies, but there are some companies right now that will surprise you that are actually putting action behind their statements. They're reviewing who's in what corporate positions, and they are changing people as we speak. They are hiring people as we speak because a mirror has been put up to the world that says, okay, you say you stand for injustice. You say, gosh, that's messed up. That's wrong. That shouldn't have happened. And that's good that you make that statement in terms of what you think. But I think what's going to really rule the day are the people and the companies and the organizations and the institutions that actually do something. And in community engagement, you have to do something. I think that we should all be striving for excellence, not magic, because magic is make believe, but for excellence. Results that we can feel proud of and say, oh, I was a part of that. That's what is resilient. That's what has long-term impact. And that's what's sustainable. We're all at home right now. We have a lot of time on our hands. So everyone's watching. But when we get back into the rat race of being busy, and you don't have as much time to pay attention, sometimes what matters most can be forgotten. And so we don't want to forget. And the way that you don't forget is by having results, achieving results that are sustainable and that are long term and that have infrastructure around them, that someone's monitoring and checking to see if they're working, not just to say we tried. I had this meeting. I sent out an email, but nobody showed up. If you just do the one thing and it's not what's going to actually get you to where you're trying to go, then it really doesn't matter. It's a secret. So Kelly said, is there anything you're challenging your clients to do, especially if they are community driven and trying to change the system and not waiting on corporate dollars? Yeah. I'm challenging my clients to just evaluate what you have set up and to make sure your systems and your operations are reflective of who you say you want to be. And it's not who you want to be when you grow up. It's who do you want to be right now? What can I do right now that I don't have to wait on something else in order to get accomplished? What can I do right now? And there are lots of things that we can all do right now. So just choose something and do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You might determine, oh, well, this didn't work. Then choose something else. It is 10:33. I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Really appreciate it. I enjoy chatting with you. If you have a particular problem that you are trying to solve right now and just want to work through it, I just posted a link to my schedule, and we could just do a 30-minute consultation. And you tell me specifically about the problem that you are trying to solve, and we can create some solutions. So again, that's the link to my calendar. Schedule a coaching call. It would be great to talk to you, to develop solutions together, to get to results together. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.